We will move on because a second council has begun removing English and British flags that have been attached to lampposts by patriotic campaigners.
Well, Tower Hamlets in East London said it would take down the St George's flags as soon as possible.
Well, joining us now is political commentator Kane Blackwell, who has some experience of this council, don't you, Kane? Kane, tell us what is going on here, because some are saying, oh, don't worry, it's all flags. We're not just picking on the British flags. What's going on?
Well, I stood in the last general election in Stratford-on-Bow, which Tower Hamlets does take part of Stratford-on-Bow in it. And I remember during that election, there was Palestine flags strewn all over the place. And I used to live in East London. And on my way to work, I would see those flags down on the motorway, down the high street, everywhere, but also graffiti, particularly anti-Jewish graffiti, pro-Palestine, pro-Hamas graffiti, all over the place. And the idea that the council is now going to do something about this because it's an English flag, it just feels very two-tier in the sense. And that's what I think a lot of people feel quite angry about. But particularly the fact that, you know, these are patriotic people who love their country, and this is a peaceful act of defiance against what is going on in our country, but also celebrating who we are. Why is it wrong to have a St George's flag out and about on the street? You know, I don't see the problem. But what I would say particularly is that the Palestinian flags were up there for a long time, weeks and weeks, and I can imagine that these flags will be down pretty quickly in a matter of days, I would expect. And I think that's the thing that really does irk a lot of people.
Do you think it's more socially acceptable to sort of tear down an English flag, to sort of say, you're British, you can't display your own sense of nationhood or patriotism or history, and yet if you're a migrant community, a minority community, that's almost gold-plated as your right to celebrate the place that you came from rather than the place that you are currently in?
No, I agree, Tom, and I think particularly in places like London and our cities, which are a hotbed or a cesspit of woke ideology, that, you know, the idea that being proud to be English or proud to be British is actually a sin in many people's eyes in those areas. And I think that's one of the big problems. That's a culture thing that we need to change. But yeah, I do think that's a problem. That's one of the reasons why, you know, I've now left London. I now live back in my home in Kent, in Sittingbourne and Sheppey. And, you know, back here, if you would display an English flag or a St George's flag or a Union flag, you know, people love that. That's people do it all the time here, and it makes people feel good and proud to be who we are. And it should be the same anywhere we go. That flag incorporates all of us. It doesn't say you can't be here because of the colour of your skin or X, Y, and Z. It encompasses all of us. And that's the point. And that's what we need to re-establish and reaffirm, that our flags are for all Britons and all Englishmen.
Have you had a random call lately from a strange number, maybe trying to sell you something or even scam you? If so, your info could be out there. That's because of data brokers, shady companies that scrape the internet for your personal details and sell them to marketers or even scammers. These days, scammers can even use AI to mimic your friends' voices and trick you into sending money. It's not just annoying. Data brokers often target vulnerable people with high-interest loans or sketchy offers. But there is a solution. Incogni, the sponsor of this video. Incogni contacts data brokers on your behalf and requests your info be deleted from their databases. And because your data can keep popping up, Incogni keeps sending removal requests to make sure it stays gone. They've just launched a new unlimited plan with custom removals. If you find your info on a weird website, just send them the link and their privacy team will work to get it taken down. Getting started is easy. Hit the link in the description, create your account and let Incogni handle the rest. It's risk-free for 30 days and you'll get 60% off an annual plan with the code GBNews. Take back control of your data with Incogni.
Yeah, there's something heartwarming, isn't there, when you get out of major cities and you see the flag just flying in the wind outside people's homes and at the village church and in rural areas too. But Kate, isn't it quite extraordinary that flying your own flag in your own country has become some kind of protest or act of resistance? I mean, it's mad.
Yeah, it just shows how far we've fallen. And I think back, it was only last week that it was VJ Day, and you think that those men and women who gave their life for this country, gave their life for that flag, for king and country, and for democracy, and the idea that Britain is a great place and that we should be proud of who we are. The idea now that those people, what would they think of us? How we have fallen so terribly. And that's what I think a lot of people are feeling at the moment. People are feeling very worried, they're feeling upset, and they're feeling, quite frankly, angry about the way that this country has become and what we have done to it. I think there is a real mood shift, and I think people are proud.
That is such an important point, because this shouldn't just be an entirely depressing conversation. It is always darkest before the dawn, and it sometimes does take a bit of a shock to sort of ignite a certain spirit in the people. In the United States of America, every single New York subway car has an American flag painted onto it. That didn't used to be the case. That happened after 9/11. And after 9/11, they had this huge outpouring of patriotic feeling of togetherness as a country. People put up flags outside their homes, city or rural, it didn't matter. That happened. Now, thank goodness we don't have anything as terrorising as that afflicting our country today. But I suppose when there is a sense of social decay, that can almost be the spur for a togetherness and a sort of outpouring of patriotism, as we've seen in other countries.
I agree, and I think this has been actually happening since 2016, this slow creep of realisation that it's okay to be, British, it's okay to stand up for our values. And actually we've been seeing, particularly with illegal immigration, the fact that all of this is happening and we feel powerless, and that our politicians have done nothing to do anything about it.
And just sticking a flagpole in your front garden is a way for you to say, you know what, I am proud of this country. But Kane, we're going to have to leave it there. Political commentator Kane Blackwell there. Great to have you on. The thing is, we're a bit sort of. There's different attitudes, aren't there? Because when the England ladies, for example, are playing football, everyone, all colours, all backgrounds, wearing the England shirt, fine, no problem. No one's accusing anyone of being far right or whatever. But then when you find a council that's happy to have the Palestinian flag up for months and months and months, but then taking down the St George's Cross, then people feel as though they're being attacked. Yeah. So, and then you hear from people on the left saying, oh, well, the St George's flag, it's very controversial, and, a lot of people don't identify with it and all of this, and it's, for goodness sake, it's the national flag.
Yeah, and it's such an outdated attitude. I can understand people saying that maybe 30, 40 years ago when sort of racist thugs would use it. But, I mean, now it is the flag that represents the Lionesses. It's the flag that represents... People happily fly this stuff. Downing Street is covered in England flags whenever the football's on. Yeah. I mean...
but can we do it when it's not the football? Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, no, I completely take your point. And I think we can. I think football is that opening issue, one
of the good things we like about football, eh?
Yeah.
Well, Tower Hamlets Council has said, while we recognise people wish to express their views, we have a responsibility to monitor and maintain council infrastructure. Where flags are attached to council-owned infrastructure without permission, they may be removed as part of routine maintenance.